Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, and today I'll be reading an Arlecchino Listener by me. So let's get into it. The door creaked open, just as you were setting down the last of the plates for dinner. Relief flooded you. Arlecchino was finally back after a mission that had stretched for far too long for your liking. You turned, a warm smile on your face, ready to welcome her home, only for the words to catch in your throat. She was covered in blood. The dark crimson stained her coat, streaked across her hands, and even smeared faintly on her face. Her sharp crimson eyes met yours, but instead of the cold detachment she often wore after missions, there was something else in her eyes. Concern? Worry? Arlecchino, what happened? You whispered, the room spinning as your stomach dropped. You took a shaky step forward, your eyes scanning her for visible wounds, panic rising with every second. Your mind raced with possibilities, each more horrifying than the last. Stop. It's not what you think, she said firmly, holding up a hand as if to keep you in place. Not what I think? You're covered in blood. I'm not sure what you want me to think here. You looked like you were hysterical. And then, as you tried to talk again, before you could even start, the adrenaline and shock overwhelmed you, and the edges of your vision darkened. And the next thing you knew, your legs gave out beneath you. Damn it. You heard her curse softly as your world faded to black. And when you came to, the first thing you felt was the softness of your bed beneath you. The second was a cool cloth gently dabbing at your forehead. Blinking, you opened your eyes to find Arlecchino sitting beside you, her usual composed expression tinged with guilt. Good, you're awake, she said, her voice low and almost tentative. What happened? You mumbled, struggling to sit up. You passed out. Too much excitement for one day? She said plainly, though there was a bit of amusement, and you could see that slight furrow of her brow. She was concerned as well, even though she wouldn't say it outright. You shot her a weak glare, your voice sharper this time. You were covered in blood. What did you expect me to do? Just ask calmly if you were okay? She sighed, setting the cloth aside and meeting your gaze. It's not mine, she said, her tone even, but soft, and you froze, processing her words. What? The blood. It's not mine. I was ambushed during the mission, and that was their blood, not mine, she repeated, gesturing to her now clean hands, and they were very clearly uninjured, as was the rest of her. Your heart, which had been pounding relentlessly, finally began to slow. Why didn't you say that sooner? You asked, your voice a mix of exasperation and lingering worry. I was trying to, before you decided to faint on me. You huffed, crossing your arms indignantly. It's not funny. Do you know how scared I was? Her smirk faded, and she leaned forward, resting her elbows on her knees. I know. I didn't mean to frighten you. I thought I could clean up before you saw me like that. But I suppose I wasn't fast enough. She admitted, her voice quieter now, and you studied her face, noticing the faint tension in her jaw, the slight dip of her shoulders. She wasn't just brushing off your fear. She genuinely regretted scaring you. I'm sorry. I don't like you seeing that part of me, she said, and the vulnerability in her words and voice took you by surprise. He reached out, placing a hand over hers. You don't have to hide it from me, he said softly. I know what you do is dangerous, and it's messy, but I would rather see it and know you're safe than be left wondering. Her eyes flickered with something unreadable, but she didn't pull her hand away. Instead, she squeezed yours gently. You have more faith in me than I deserve, she murmured, her gaze dropping to your intertwined fingers. You deserve far more than you think, he countered, your tone firm. And you always come back to me. That's what matters. For a moment, silence hung between you. The weight of unspoken words filling the space. Then, she let out a soft chuckle, shaking her head. You're too good for me. I've heard that one before. He smiled, leaning back against the pillows. And she rolled her eyes, then leaned down to press a soft, tender kiss to your forehead. Then stop making me sad. Only if you stop coming home looking like you've been through a battlefield. You teased, though your voice and what you said still held a note of seriousness. He didn't want to see this again. Or at least, not see her in a way that made you think that she was hurt. Deal, she said, with a faint smile, and the sincerity of her eyes was unmistakable. And as she helped you settle back into bed, her hand never leaving yours, you felt the tension from earlier melt away. No matter how messy her world got, you knew she would always come back to you. That would always remain a constant. And that alone was more than enough.